entrepreneur, you should know something about real estate. The beauty of today is, you know, you can live on Google, you can live on YouTube, and to learn about real estate, even if you're talking about where you where you live, whether it's the house that you've bought or the house you think about buying or the apartment that you're in. So I think what's very important is controlling the property. When you talk about entrepreneurship, you know, entrepreneurship has to be a place, so it's not something in the sky. You know, we had this big conversation about online versus brick and mortar, and I want to say this: everything is brick and mortar. And repeat it again: everything is brick and mortar until we go to the Jetson age, where you can blink a product into your property, into your house. Otherwise, it's brick and mortar, because you can do social media or you can do online out of brick and mortar, but you can't do brick and mortar out of online. So you got to control the property, and controlling the property can be through a strong lease or through ownership. But don't let you not owning the property stop you from going into business because you heard somebody get pushed out of business. You know, that happens here and there. But control the property. I hope I answered that person's question, whoever that was.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? You have questions?
How you guys doing? My name is Linus Kimber. I'm entrepreneur. I own a business called Artistic Flesh, tattoo parlor. So two questions. Well, one I have for MC, and you mentioned taking your services to the continent of Africa. Right. And I was wondering, like, strategically, your plan to get to the continent of Africa, are you thinking about targeting like other major black cities first, or are you thinking about going from here to Africa?
So right now, I'm in the process of cultivating relationships with others. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the process of cultivating relationships with other salons on the continent and with salon owners. I have a couple of young ladies in my salon now that are stylists that are from the continent and already have family that is still there, that have businesses, and so that's where the conversation for me starts. And then I've been to the continent a few times anyway, so it's not, it's a continent, but those are our people, so yeah, we'll be there.
Good afternoon, well, evening. My name is Travis Foster, and I'm an entrepreneur as well, founder of Foster Gives Black, and it's a fund development consulting firm where we specifically target African American, Black-owned nonprofits to help them get essentially sustainable capital so that they're not living off of grants for the rest of their lives. We also work with professional athletes and folks of that nature to make sure that they are giving back philanthropically to their communities that they grew up in. And this was kind of I'm not sure who said it, but I'm trying to figure out how to juxtapose, because my message is black, because we are trying to target black folks specifically because virtually all nonprofit CEOs are white, all foundation CEOs are white, and board members, over 90% for all of them. And so the message has to be black, but also we work with mainstream nonprofits to make sure that they're diversifying their boards, their leadership, things of that nature, and we're doing fairly well, but what would that message be between the two of those to kind of not scare the white folks away, or should I just not care about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, that's sort of a question that many black businesses sort of wrestle with, and many black people who have a vision for our community wrestle with. We talk about it all the time in our groups, our IVA meeting, and it's the idea of because we are pro-African American, doesn't mean that we anti anybody else at all in the world. And the key is been able, I think, effectively communicate the fact that we love all people, we love everybody. And again, it gets back to that strategy I was telling you about, that mindset of what other groups do is they buy from each other and sell to everybody else. So it never, because we don't see them buying from each other, we just see them selling to everybody, so nobody ever questions that. When we say black, everybody gets defensive in the world. Everybody says, oh, okay, yeah, you're in that black thing again. What black thing? You know, it's no black thing. So, but you're right, the effective message has to be that, you know, we, in our community, we're trying to catch up in capitalism, so to speak. And so we need some special attention, some special massage. It's not that we're anti anybody else at all in the world. I think that's sort of the concept that it needs to be effectively communicated in order for us not to catch heck. Because understand this too, the name of the game in capitalism is green. So that means that everybody else is going to use an opportunity to pigeonhole you. Oh, there you go with that black thing again. You don't like that, right? You don't want that, right? It not have anything to do with being black at all, but it gives them a competitive marketing advantage over you and what you're trying to do. So you got to look at everything from that perspective. You know? But we are, you know, pro our community development versus anti anybody else.
Sure. Did you want to follow up? Okay. To answer a question just from my perspective, I'm sorry.
Make that money, man.
Sorry about that. Thought I had it on vibrate. But what I was getting ready to say to your question and the juxtaposition with what Floyd is saying is, when it is a market that is particularly African American, because there are markets, we are in a market share. We need specific brokerage for things that we need. So I think that's what I'm hearing from you to say. No, this is going to be targeted to African Americans, but I think, and then you said you don't want white people to be scared. I don't really think it's, well, I understand that question, but I think it's, I think as a collective, we have to broker for ourselves and be proud and unashamed to do that, because every other ethnicity that I'm aware of does this. And as Floyd just alluded to, and it's no problem as a public conversation, but it's always when it's a black thing, it becomes an issue. So I would just say, no, if it's a real black agenda and a black market space that needs to be filled, then keep that. We need to be confident about that. But at the same time, when we're dealing with our counterparts, letting them understand that this is from a pride cultural standpoint, as any other thing. I don't mean to explain that to them, but we don't owe any explanations to broker for our markets. We have to do this. So I hope that helps in some sense.
Can I say something? I'm going to answer your concern by giving you guys an assignment. And I promise you, if you do this assignment, you'll probably want to take me to lunch. And that is, I want you to grab, if you haven't already done so, I want you to grab Matthew Johnson's book, 32 Ways. Grab Matthew Johnson's book, 32 Ways. I had my nephew tell me about this book. And when I read the book, I had to thank him. So grab 32 Ways by Magic Johnson. Read the book. That's the answer to what you just said.
That's not so much a question as it's just another contribution to an answer for you. I don't know if you're familiar with Maggie and John Anderson. They're both attorneys that live in Chicago. Maggie wrote a book called My Black Year. And it was an excellent book that dealt with not only black entrepreneurship, but interaction with other people who have a strong presence in the black community. There's also One United Bank, which is the largest black-owned bank in the country, which is on a mission, an absolute mission to get black folk to, one, invest in each other, spend where they live, and also to fund black business. There's also a different John Anderson in Chicago, who is the founder and chairman of Ariel Capital Management. Definitely somebody you should talk to if you're looking for ways to get into financing businesses. And then there's also Tom Steyer. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a billionaire. He takes the lead particularly in urban cities, and trying to get urban cities to undertake green economy initiatives. Before Prince died, this is a person that he and Van Johnson worked with to put solar panels on houses in Oakland, California. And this is the person that they worked with along with Ron Wozniak to found Yes We Code. And if you know about Yes We Code, they teach black kids all across the country how to code. You don't spend $30,000 going to college and going into debt, and inside of 18 to 24 months, you've got a skill that you can pimp at corporate America, or if you are really, really good and determined and laser focused, you can use on your own. So if you'll get me your information, there's a couple of people around the country to be in touch with.
Do we have any more questions? Oh, now you guys got questions. How are we doing good on time? Before we have to start paying rent. Okay.
Okay. First one's free. Right, Rufus?
Should I stand up or? Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Kaishila Gardner. So basically my question is proposed to everyone at the panel, and even though I did come in late, it was specifically targeted towards the first speaker, not to harp on anything that you said or to nickel and dime it, but you had mentioned that you don't target to black people because of a less educational, less disposable, and I do understand you clarified that later, so that's what I had first got from your comments, but then I also realized that you clarified that you are, you know, black owned, and you do promote, you do want black customers, even though a high percentage of your customers happen to be white, which means the capital is mainly coming from white people. But is there any way that, because I went to Wayne State, and I was not really exposed to natural organic foods until I went to Wayne State, around Midtown area, and there's actually a couple of bakeries down there, Avalon Bakery, and they just expanded to downtown, and you know, in Midtown and things like that. But just to get into the question, because I know we don't have a lot of time, is there anything that you plan on doing as far as educating black customers in particular, so that they can have something to relate to? Because most people who are not educated on what is available probably wouldn't gravitate towards that. But you know, even though you are a black owned, of course, you know, businesses don't do just black only. So is there anything or campaigns that you have planned, or any of you all, as far as reaching out to people? Because a lot of people, when they're not educated, they don't apply, or they don't know where to go as far as resources available. So is it something that you have in the works or plan to do for future-wise?
So to answer that question, first, I never said anything about African Americans and lack of education. But what I will say is that, yes, we do plan to, so we're in the process now of expanding, building out a commercial kitchen space, a production space. So in that space, we do plan to offer classes to teach people how to first bake with organic products, but also how to bake vegan, how to transform your regular recipe into a vegan recipe. So we will be offering classes and education. We currently now put out a monthly blog, a monthly newsletter, which offers different options for transforming from using GMO foods, non-organic foods, to using organic, and then also teaching people how to eat vegan if they want to be vegan, to remove the butter and fat from their products. So we are in the process of that as we grow. Yes, ma'am. No problem.
My name is Dale Grant. I'm a CPA. I'm an accounting firm, Ashton Business Consulting, that primarily works with small businesses. With my potential clients, I talk with them about resource allocation, and a lot of that being that, hey, you're in business doing one particular thing, and accounting may not be your specialty, so bring me on board and I'll help you out with that. My question to the panel is, what resources do you find are vital to your business, particularly those that make more sense to outsource than to bring somebody in-house, or you do simply for yourself?
You know, when I talk to people about starting a business, I tell them there are like 4 areas, depending on the type of business you're in, of course, but the 4 areas you need to consider, if not immediately outsourcing, just forming a relationship with. You're gonna need a good accountant, because you're gonna run into the IRS sooner or later, right, Harold? So you're gonna need an accountant, good accountant. So if you don't have to purchase the services for a good account right away, but you probably need to start talking to people, establish a relationship in that area. You're gonna need an attorney. You might need a basic attorney for liability, or you might need a specialty attorney, depending on the type of business you're in. Again, you don't have to buy those services, but what you need to do is start finding out who provides those services in your community and forming a relationship, with that type of individual. You're going to need to probably look at a payroll service, potentially. Because again, you want your books straight from the very beginning, from the absolute very beginning. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. You don't want to end up like after a year of business, having income, and decide your accountant tell you, well, you really should have done things this way, and you might get a letter from the IRS coming pretty soon. You don't want to start out and rolling. So you need to establish relationships that are potentially outsourced originally, so that you don't necessarily pay for those, but those relationships will help you as you develop and as you grow and as you require and as you need those. An accountant is absolutely essential. Your books, the difference between a hobby and a business is bookkeeping. If you don't keep books, you're a hobby, you're not a business.
IT.
Huh?
IT.
Oh. Yeah, Ruth, and I should mention this because I'm in IT, of course. No, but IT and your overall structure today is very important, because we have a lot of tools that are available that will make things a lot easier for you. In fact, our group utilize Facebook, for instance, as often as we can. A lot of the social networking simply provides you an opportunity to be able to communicate with a lot of people free. And anything that's free in business, you got to learn how to leverage. Right. So IT is also another very important area when you first start thinking about your company as important infrastructure. Thanks, Aretha.
And I'd like to add, we need to have a relationship with a bank. That's key, to establish a relationship with your local bank, particularly if it's an African American bank, I would say. But so that's something that you can begin to research also.
April wanted to.
So accounting is definitely number one. Even if you have accounting background with bookkeeping, it's still best to outsource. Like I have an MBA in corporate accounting, so for the first 2 years I was like, oh, I can do this, and then I realized that everything was being pushed to the back because again, you need to learn how to delegate and put stuff out. So I had to actually bring in a bookkeeper and then bring in a CPA just for once a year, just to do taxes. But another thing is if your business is going to require employees, then it's best to start at the beginning to either bring in someone on board as an office manager, HR person, or to outsource and do a contractual. That way you can develop your rules, the policy and procedures, your SOP, all those things established from the beginning so that things are in place when you bring on employees, so that you have a policy and procedure when something happens. You're not running by the seat of the pants, trying to figure out stuff. Always to already have these things in place. So that's something that if you're going to have employees or staff, that this is something that you should think about before they come on, so that you already have these things in place, like having an employee handbook, having policy and procedures about how people should dress. If you're a food business, do your employees get to eat when they're at work? If so, how much is that? How do you allot that to them? So things like that you have to think about from the beginning. And you might not be able to afford to have an HR person on staff, but there are places in business that you can contract. You can do contractual work, like your payroll services. You can add HR to it, where they'll help you with those type of things. Yes. So those are all things that you should think about when you're starting a business or in business.
Thank you all for that. One more question we got back there, two more. and then you got some. Okay, let's move along.
All right, my name is Margot Stevens, and I'm not an entrepreneur, but I am interested in the field. And I wanted to know, how long did it take you to obtain the capital to get started, as well as like maybe some of the obstacles that you had to, or discipline that you needed to get that capital?
I guess I'll start. So for us, we opened, and we didn't get the chance to talk about that. That was one of the questions. But we opened under the DGC Revolve program. So there was $10,000 given for our installation into our space. But our space required a $47,000 build out. And so we had saved $17,000. We was about to purchase another home, so we had saved $17,000. So we used that, and then my parents gave us $30,000 to build out our space. And within the first year, you're not going to make money. Most businesses don't make money the first year. And being a food business is a very low profit. So my parents together has given us $75,000 into our business. So that's how our business ran basically for the first year. Was my parents gave us the money for that. We tried to pay them back. They didn't want the money back, which is a wonderful thing. Wow. which is so wonderful. But yeah, that's how we started our business. Was self-bootstrapping in my parents.
Really quickly, for my situation, a little different. I already walked into an established situation, so funding wasn't an issue for me per se right off the bat. But as things progressed, and I started to understand the dynamics of needing funding. And honestly, like I said before, it was self-funding. My partner, Larry Rivers, again, for most of our earlier years, definitely was that resource. And again, that's not common because mostly you want to have a banking relationship so that way you're not using all of your liquid and can have more room to grow. So for my situation, I can't really say that it was hard starting off, but as I got into it, then I started to get that dynamics where I did have to start self-funding as the partnership grew, because you have financial responsibility. So yeah, I just wanted to I didn't want to not comment, but I wanted to share that my entry, I was blessed that I didn't have those dynamics right off the bat.
I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, I worked 2 jobs to get started, but I was a person that hated to sleep in the earliest parts of my life. I hated to sleep. I thought sleep was a waste of time. So I had a vision for what I wanted to do, and you know, you just work and you hustle and you save. You gotta work hard and save. And then today, if you're part of organizations or if you have access to organizations, you can get information about things like that been talked about here on our panel, about sources that can provide you with some startup help also. But a lot of it, most of it is going to come either from somebody you know or your back. But you get it from everywhere you can. But don't be discouraged. You're going to make it happen. I mean, it's a fact. You're going to make it happen if you got the vision. I can tell you that.
So positive. I started working in my home. I still had a corporate job. I saved money from the job, saved money from my house, moved to another space, a smaller space outside of my home, saved money from that, moved into the space that I'm in now, which needed a lot of work, and I still use some of my own funding along with a loan from my mother. And so God bless her. You know, that was what got me that build out, was that loan from my mother, along with some money that I've saved on the side myself. So that's why I say, get a relationship with a bank, if at all possible.
Okay. You got something for Lucas?
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, so real quick, here's the sobering news: is that, especially for budding entrepreneurs, that traditional banks are going to play a very, very small role in your success. I recall a couple of years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, I was giving a lecture at Michigan State satellite campus on Woodward. And so I was a little panel much like this with a bunch of bankers. And we were talking about entrepreneurship and what it takes to be successful in business, how you go about funding the business. So certainly, all the bankers got up and gave him the business in the box, each and every person. And so I was the last person, as I am today, begin to talk, and I said, well, listen, I made the same statement, and that is traditional banks are going to play a very small role in your success. I can see many people at panel begin to turn, deep red.
Yeah.
And then I followed up with a question. I said, the room was probably 70, 80 people in the room, of which it was probably like a 70-30 mix, white to black. And I said, how many people in here have had a traditional bank loan? Raise your hand. About 7 people raised their hand. Then I said, how many people that you know had a traditional loan? Another 2 hands went up. So less than 10 hands out of 70 hands went up. Then they began to listen to me for the rest of the meeting. And here's what I mean by that. Is there's some strategic ways that we can do this. One, if you don't have a credit score, the most important thing in business is to have a strong credit score. And here's the bad news. Most of us don't. But here's the good news. Inside of 12 to 16 to 18 months, we can. The credit score is somebody who knows you without ever meeting you. They get to say yes. And you can begin to fund your businesses through market appreciation. For example, your house. A smart person will have a house to make enough income to buy another investment piece of property. Your whole point of buying that investment piece of property is to sell it so you can launch your business, or to cash flow it and leverage it for market appreciation, pull equity out. And that's why you heard me say a half hour ago, I said, no matter what you do, learn about what? About real estate, in control, real estate. So my point is, that's a strategic way that everything that we've done as a family has been being able to leverage it through the market appreciation of property. I'll give you one example, and then we'll move on, and then certainly there's a whole lot of other techniques. Say, for example, you make $60,000 at your job. You already have your house, you already have your apartment that you own. And you buy a piece of investment property, and you bought it well. You bought it for $20,000. You may have paid cash, or you may have put a mortgage on, you put some money in it. So now this property is worth $80,000. So that between what you bought it for and what you put into it, it's about a $40,000 cushion. So that allows you to do one or two things: sell it or pull cash out. Here's the beauty of pulling cash out. The beauty of pulling cash out is that now you get to use that money and reinvest it in your business. Get a tenant to pay for it, write off the taxes, the market appreciation of it, and your net worth. Because when you go into a bank, the bank wants something they can stick their fangs into. Notice what I said, fangs, I ain't saying teeth. They don't have fangs. Vampires. Banks are vampires. They're only interested in your deposits. They're not interested in lending you any money. But once you get to the point where you got enough things for them to take, that's when they will lend you money. Don't let anybody tell you differently. They're selling you a bill of goods. But how you do self-fund, like Brian was talking about, self-fund is buy small pieces of real estate, improve it, sell it, or cash flow it, pull the equity out, begin to self-fund. Once you begin to self-fund, now you qualify in the bank's eyes to give you money that you don't need. Because they're not interested in lending you money when you actually need it. You gotta not need the money. And the way to not need the money is to own or control the property. So you gotta know something about real estate. And I'm gonna tell you one more thing. Everybody's heard of Robert Kiyosaki. I'm gonna give you another assignment. I don't want you to buy the book. I want you to get the cassettes or the DVDs. I want you to get the DVDs. And the DVDs is you're gonna get the cash flow quadrant, not the other stuff. The cash flow quadrants. And the reason why that's very important, like, well, why are we just telling us to learn about real estate? This is not about real estate. This is about your mindset. And when you get these CDs, it's going to teach you how and what quadrant to earn money in and what you do with money. That's going to allow you to be able to self-fund the things that you're trying to do. And once you get to that point, then you knock on the banks, and then you're going to get into OPM, other people's money. But in the beginning, it's going to have to be yours. Don't let anybody tell you different. It's going to have to be yours. But eventually, you're going to get to the point where it's other people's money. So I hope that made any sense. I hope that made some sense. If not, certainly I can get my card. We can talk about it later. And everybody helping everybody get where they need to go.
Awesome. Thank you guys. We need to wrap it up. I know we're way over cycle right now. Did you have something?
No.
Oh, you didn't give me yet. Look like, Okay, so first of all, everyone, I want to give a round of applause and thank you to our panelists who took time out of their day on a Friday evening to come here and be with us and just download into us all this great information. I really feel good about what everyone was able to share here today, so I hope all of you appreciated something and got something from it. I'm going to get with each one of you afterwards. We need to get a proper mailing address for you. We're going to have something to send you. Also, some last minute housekeeping things. I want to thank Black Young Professionals volunteer staff that is in here with the red lanyards for coming by and supporting everything from photography to audio to checking people in and everything. I appreciate every one of that. These people appreciate all of you. If you're interested in getting involved in Black Young Professionals, we do have some information over there on the table. Grab a one-pager before you go. There's also ways to sign up to get involved in the organization or to get on our mailing list. Also, we will be posting a write-up of today's discussion on our website within the next week, so be paying attention to that. And we'll also post that on Facebook, an alert to go to our site. And before you leave here, if you have not pulled out your phone and went to either the Independent Business Association's Facebook page or Black Young Professionals Facebook page, please take a second to do that before you walk out the door. Even if it's as you're standing up, like the pages so you can know what we're up to, trying to unite people and do good in the Black community. And that's all I have. Letitia, did you have anything? Team, anything? Ivan, Rufus, anything? Floyd?
Yeah, I want to thank the BYP, you guys, man, for. I want to thank Black Young Professionals for bringing this in front of us and coordinating with us and making this happen. I think we need to do things like this more often so we can get this kind of information into our community. So, thanks a lot, everyone.
You know what? Can I say something?
Yes.
This really makes me proud, honestly. This is what I worked tirelessly for when I was your age, maybe a little younger. So to see this type of group come to fruition right now, this really makes me very proud. So if there's anything I can do to help, to contribute in any kind of way, don't hesitate to give me an email or something.
We'll be taking you up on that.
Thank you so much. And with that, everyone, we are over, and you are free to go again. Grab some snacks and some water, and check out the one-pagers on the table. Thank you.
You guys, please don't leave. Yeah, we want to make sure we get your picture and your address, so we do have to get something.
Black Young Professional, the first one.
Black Professional.